Welcome students. In today's class, we are going to discuss about the use of bacteria and other microorganisms in food industry and how they are used to produce food products in industrial scale and large scale. As the name suggests, the microorganisms are the biological organisms which are very small in size or extremely small in size because their entire body is made up of only one cell or few cells, and we need a particular equipment, a microscope, to observe them. The study of the microorganisms is called microbiology, and the microorganisms include four kinds or four types of organism: bacteria, fungi, protozoa and algae. They are actually found everywhere, or they can be called omnipresent because they are present in the air, water, soil and everywhere we can think of. Now some of them are very harmful while some of them are also very beneficial to us, and in this chapter we are going to explore about the beneficial microorganisms that are found around us. First, we are going to look into the bacteria. The bacteria can be of different shapes, and there are actually four types of shapes that are present in bacteria. And on the basis of different shapes, bacteria can be classified into four groups. The first is the cocci or the coccus. These are the bacteria that are ovoid or circular in shape. Next is the bacillus, and this type of bacteria are rod-shaped. Then there are some spiral or helical bacteria which are called either Spirochetes or Spirilla, and the shape is called spirillum. And then there are some comma-shaped bacteria which are called Vibrio, like the Vibrio cholerae that causes cholera. Now if we are going to look into the ultrastructure or microscopic structure of the cell of the bacteria, we can see that there are three coverings that are present around a bacterial cell. From outside to inside, these are the capsule, the cell wall and the plasma membrane. The capsule is a slimy and gelatinous layer and it's a protective covering. Cell wall is the hard one and it gives the bacterial cell a shape, and plasma membrane is actually allowing the movement of water and other molecules in and out of the cell. Now, at the middle of the bacterial cell, as we can see, there is nucleoid or DNA that is present. And since the bacterial cell is a prokaryotic cell, that means the DNA or the chromatin material or the chromatin fiber or the genetic material is not enclosed in a nuclear membrane. It is just present freely diffused inside the cell. And there are other parts of the cell in bacterial cell as well, like mesosome, flagella, pilus, plasmid, inclusion bodies, etc. And they serve different functions in the bacterial cell. The first use of bacteria is in the yogurt production or curd production. The main two types of bacteria that are used in yogurt production in industrial scale is Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Lactobacillus acidophilus. Now let us look into the process of yogurt production. The first process is that the milk products are actually heat treated at 90 degrees centigrade. What this high temperature serves? This high temperature actually removes the oxygen from the milk products, kills the harmful bacteria and changes the milk protein, which is called the casein. Now the temperature is brought down to 40 degrees centigrade or around the room temperature, and this is the best temperature for growing the curd making bacteria, which is the Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Lactobacillus acidophilus. Now this yogurt bacteria is added into the milk products, and the purpose that the bacteria serve is that they ferment the milk sugar, which is the lactose, into lactic acid, and this process is called fermentation. And lactic acid is the reason for which the milk product, the curd, is actually having its characteristic sour taste or acid taste. Now the fermentation process is actually for 6 hours, and after that it is stored at a lower temperature like 4.5 degrees centigrade to prevent further bacterial growth and for preventing the spoilage. Slows down further bacterial fermentation. Now the curd is actually very high in calcium, and this calcium is very important for healthy growth of bone and teeth in the children and for preventing the osteoporosis in adults. The second food product that includes the use of bacteria in industrial scale is cheese. Now cheese is also full of protein, calcium, phosphorus and very important vitamins that are very important for protecting our body. Now the cheese making process is also a multi-step process. The first is the raw milk, that is actually obtained from cow milk or buffalo milk. Then the second step is homogenization or standardization or pasteurization. What is actually done in this step is that the milk is actually treated to very high temperature so that the high temperature can kill any unwanted or harmful bacteria or germs that are present in the milk. Then the process or the step that is coming is coagulation or curdling and curd separation. So this is the step where the curd making bacteria or curdling or coagulating bacteria is added and adding of an enzyme called rennet. What will this adding of bacteria and rennet will do is that it will coagulate the milk and the water portion of the milk will be separated. Now that water portion of the milk is separated and that water portion is called the whey, or liquid portion is called the whey. Now the whey is separated and only the solid portion of the milk is obtained. The fourth step is called the salting. Salting is adding of salt to the solid portion of the milk after removing the whey, and this gives a characteristic salty flavor to the cheese, and also it suppresses some bacterial growth, and also if any excess whey is present in the solid portion of the milk, it also gets rid of that excess whey. After that there is the step called pressing, and that pressing is actually pressing of the solid product or the salting mixture with a press or with a pressure, so that excess of water or any water if that is present inside the substance, it will be removed. And the last phase is called the ripening or aging of the cheese. This is actually done for giving three things and to develop flavor and texture, and three important factors are time, temperature and humidity. So the processed cheese is actually stored at a particular temperature and a particular humidity, controlled humidity, and for a particular time that will give a characteristic flavor and texture to the cheese. So this is the whole process of cheese production in industrial scale. Not only for curd production and cheese production bacteria are used, but bacteria are used for other purposes as well. First is called the curing of tea. Curing of tea is the process of removing the bitterness from the tea leaves and making the tea leaves important and ready for production and selling into the market. And the bacteria that is used in this is called Bacillus megatherium. Then alcohol and vinegar production also includes the process of fermentation, and it includes the use of bacteria Acetobacter. Some vitamins are also produced by use of bacteria, and the bacteria that are involved in vitamin production is Aspergillus niger and Pseudomonas denitrificans. In agriculture as well, there are bacteria that can fix the atmospheric nitrogen and make them into soluble nitrogen salts that can be used by the plants for growth purpose. And these are the bacteria like Rhizobium, Nitrosomonas, Nitrobacter that can serve this purpose. Rhizobium is the bacteria which is a symbiotic bacteria that lives in the root nodules of the leguminous plants or some dal-like plants like masoor, moong, etc. And they help the plants to capture the nitrogen and use the nitrogen in growth process.